Okay, y'all. Um, ugh. How is everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. Um, Season 4, episode 5. So Meredith and her husband are talking and they are recapping what happened over the weekend. It seems pretty cool. Um, Lisa and Meredith. Anyway, sorry about that. Lisa and Meredith are going for facials. Lisa is she talks about how she's getting banned from the tanning place. I can see that. Anyway, Monica defends herself. Oh, Monica and Whitney are having lunch, and Monica defends herself because Whitney's like, "Look, it seems like you're sucking up to Meredith because you seem to be writing hard against Mary. No, what is her name? Angie. And Angie's supposed to be your friend. She's like, I am going to side with who's right, who's the person who's right, and the person who's wrong. I didn't like how Angie was coming at you, was coming at Meredith about her business. I didn't like the things she said, and so I'm going to say what I said. I appreciate Monica for this. Honestly, she's a breath of fresh air for the show. Even though I do think she's too broke for this show, I still think that she's a breath of air for the show. That sounds so harsh. I said in the last episode, my last review, when you start high, and if when I do go back to Orange County, in the first few seasons, you absolutely did have some people who were kind of a little on the broke side, and who kind of stayed broke. Uh, And the one lady, she was a real estate person, but see, Orange County, if I'm not mistaken, Orange County came out, yeah, it did. It came out during the recession. And so we did have one lady, she used to be I she used to be a Playboy bunny, and her son played in the minors, and her husband was a baseball player, professional baseball player. I think he was in the MLB, but they were divorced, and she was making she was making a sum of money because really, if you go back to the Real Housewives of Orange County, the entire show was centered in Coda de Casa. And in Coda de Casa, Orange County, for those of you who are not familiar with Orange County, with Coda de Casa is a very exclusive part of Orange County, and it is a closed community. They have a golf course, which is really nice. But it's right near Rancho Santa Margarita. Um, it I think it's I used to live there. It's right down the street. Anyway, the interesting thing about Coto de Casa though is that even though it's so elite, it's not like other communities. You do not have to be a millionaire to enter. However, there are million, you know, multi-million dollar estates. So you do have the lower end that has condos and townhouses, and then you have the higher end. So it is a mixture of community, but it's definitely more exclusive than like your Rio, like than the neighbors, the other neighborhoods. With all of that being said, that first season, you had one lady who she was always she, she was the epitome of she had a girlfriend, she had a boyfriend, and actually the boyfriend came back on the show years later and married another housewife. But for the first two seasons, he was with this one woman, and he didn't have much money either, but she also didn't have much money. And they were kind of like living off of her ex-husband's money. And so she was all because she had a daughter with him, and she was always kind of hopping from house to house. It was really ghetto, if you want to put it that way. And then you had, and that was one of the complaints, is that he was a user. And so when he hopped to the next chick who was on the show, um, and was dating her, that was the big complaint. So then when she got married and they had a baby, it was like, oh my gosh, you really are trying to make this dude who is an opportunist, who really doesn't have a stable income. He never had a stable income. And then you had the other chick who, like I said, the baseball player's wife. It was interesting because she had money, but because of the recession and because she was a real estate agent, and she was particularly a real estate agent in Coto de Casa, she lost a lot of money. Like, she admittedly on the show was like, I'm broke. Like, by second season, she was like, I'm second or third season, she was like, I'm broke. And then she became like somewhat of a friend of, she'd always pop in occasionally. But I appreciated her honesty. And then you got to see how her son was living in the minors. Like, he was broke. Like, I mean, it was interesting to watch. But fast forward all these years, because that was like a long time ago. Fast forward all these years to see somebody on a show like Salt Lake City. I mean, the only person that I can say Mary is questionable, right? So, how Mary makes her money is always going to be extremely uncomfortable should be uncomfortable for everybody, especially since she wasn't on season 3, but on season 2, all of her tea got spread. The fact that her church was a fraud. Like, I mean, there's zero possibility, y'all. Let's take it all the way back. There is zero possibility that a person with that few number of constituents in the crowd, like she has, I can count the number of people in her church, would yield her a salary to be able to sustain this multi-million-dollar lifestyle that she claims to have. I mean, and that's when people were like, yeah, I'm getting mortgages on my house, a second mortgage, a third mortgage, a line of credit, and giving her, hundreds of thousands of dollars, which makes zero sense to me, but okay. And trying to get people to put them in the will. Now, I will say that is not far-fetched to me. I've seen churches who have done that. I'm not going to put anybody's church's name on blast, where they put the name of the church on the will, trying to get people to get life insurance and put them as the beneficiary. I think that's a bit icky. I would not attend a church that does this. But I do know some churches who do this, some pretty well-known churches that do this. And it was I would say about 10 years ago that my sorority was really pushing for, which makes sense because we have a lot of older sorors. They were pushing for people to add AKA into their will. And I was just like, no. I love my sorority to death. But you honestly think that you're going to get money out of me out of my death? Like, I'm going to bypass my kids or my grandkids for you? Like, nah. Now, would I donate to my sorority? Yeah, probably, because I donate to my alma mater. So I could see me putting in a trust to give some money to a few of my alma maters, Pepperdine and Seton Hall. So I could see me giving some money to, AKA, but the way they were pushing it, I was just like, you doing too much. They don't do that anymore. Different administration. um, but anyway, I say all that to say Monica is a good addition to the show, but she ain't got no money. And I don't know. I mean, people's biggest complaints on these shows is like, you watch these shows for opulence. You don't watch these shows to be trying to figure out if they're on, struggling like good times. Like, we don't do rent parties. So the fact that, I mean, she's going around talking about, she goes to Lisa's party and Lisa pulls her to the side and she wants to talk to her about the fact that I don't appreciate you calling me materialistic, especially, you're at my party, you're eating the food that I'm giving you that is because of my hard work. Now, Monica's right. She's like, look, everybody works hard. It doesn't mean that we have a lot of money, and it doesn't mean that we're focused so much on it. She's like, look, these people who are serving you right here are working hard. Why you got to bring these people into it? Anyway, so then Lisa, of course, starts naming labels. And then she's like, exactly. She's like, everybody here is materialistic. And she's like, well, I'm wearing Steve Madden. What was the other part of it? Steve Madden shoes and something else. It was Steve Madden. I don't think I wrote down the names of the brand, but it was an inexpensive brand. Nothing that you probably catch Lisa in. And I don't know what I mean, but look, their outfit looks good. I didn't see the shoes, so I can't quote that. But I like Monica's outfit. It looks great. She likes to be cheap. She ain't got no money. I get it. Look, we all um we all can struggle, but I do want to pause here and say that I get where Monica's coming from. Like, I spent $5,000. Look, and when they bring up the $5,000 handbag, I mean, I want them to realize that literally she has one $5,000 handbag because she wanted to impress you. Now, she can't keep coming up to your guys' event with the same handbag, because then you catch on, oh, this girl is, on the struggle bus. And I'm not saying that I would spend $5,000 on a handbag. I probably would, but not in my current income. I feel that if I'm going to spend, I think the most that I'd spend for a purse would probably be like 1,500. I think I'm at my max, 1,500, maybe 2,000. I'm tapped out. After that, I'd have to really, well, maybe 2,500. After that, I'm like, pause. My husband actually just found out how much a Hermes bag costs, and he's like, wait, people spend what on a purse? I'm gonna tell you, look, I don't think I would. Like, I'd have to be a multi-millionaire before I start spending $30,000 for a purse. Like, I'd have to bring in at least 2 million a year, and I'd have to own a lot. Like, own a lot of different. I need my vacation home. I would need another house, a bigger house. Like, I'd have to own, I'd buy a car before I'd buy like additional cars before I'd actually buy a $30,000 to $50,000 handbag. And then I'm trying to figure out when am I going to carry it, because I know, like, I would have to carry it to places where I'm like, I don't want you to believe that this is real. Because at this point, if I'm stepping out with the $50,000 handbag, I'm letting you know that this is insured, because if somebody takes my handbag, I think that we would have to fight. Like, I mean, I'm borderline trying to fight over a $600 handbag, but a $50,000 handbag, we would have to box. I'm putting it out there, just letting you know. Okay. Anyway, so Monica clearly that and the way that Monica's talking, she didn't spend cash for that $5,000 handbag. Like, so there's that. And when it seems like when she was with her husband, they weren't wealthy, they were just good. So it's difficult. And I don't think I really want a woman who comes on the show who's counting everybody's pockets, because I don't like anybody to count my pocket. Um, anyway, so this Whitney and Monica conversation just seems stupid. Whitney does talk about how Meredith brings up all these rumors, and she always says people do have rumors about them. And then Monica's like, well, there are rumors that are happening. And they're like, well, Whitney's like, doesn't mean that they're true. Monica's like, yeah, okay. Here's the thing. So Whitney's annoyed with this whole rumor conversation. And then when Salt Lake City, that Bravo decides to go back and relay all the previous things that Meredith said rumors about, the irony about all of this is that they were pretty much true. The only one that wasn't necessarily true, well, we don't know if it was true, is Lisa's husband was cheating on her. Okay, here's the thing about the Lisa husband cheating on her bit. The truth was actually kind of worse, because the truth is Lisa's husband was with Lisa's sister. See, you know what's so funny about this show is that, more so than the other shows, but granted, I don't watch a lot of the other, like I've never got into New York. I've watched a little itty bitty bit of um Beverly Hills, but that's really not my thing either. Um, and Miami is messy. I've watched a little bit of Miami. So I can't give you, and I've never watched Dallas. Dallas has only remained on the on the app. I don't think it's ever been on television. And if it has been on television, I don't know when it shows up. So I can't help you with that. But I will say the one thing that's so fascinating about the Salt Lake City one is when I say that almost all of these women got their men, are dating their men, or cheat on their man in such the most disrespectful way. So Lisa started dating her sister's boyfriend. Now, Lisa wants to claim that it wasn't that bad. But if you go back and look at the season 1 or 2, the whole storyline was about how she doesn't, or maybe it was the season 3, maybe it was season 3, about how she doesn't have the closest relationship with her family. Well, I mean, even though this happened years ago, I don't think I'm cool with the fact that my sister dated that I don't know if I'd ever be cool. Like, I could be cool from a distance if you ended up marrying my boyfriend, because I'd be looking at you sideways. Like, that's kind of effed up. I'm sorry. Um, I am the authenticity of a Virgo. So I am the one who will be like, I remember when. And even if you say, oh, well, that's like 20 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, 20 years ago, but you're still, I was like, but prove to me that you're not that shady. So I'm going to be like, look, so how did you and your husband get together? Okay, cool. So the shadiness. And so I'm going to always be looking at you with the side eye, because you operate and move in complete shade. So even if you've changed a new leaf, everything is good. I'm the one in the back of my head like, so, and it somehow it appears because Lisa is not really that connected to her family. By the way, Lisa's husband is attractive, so I'm not upset completely upset. Well, yeah, I would be if I was a sister. I'd be like, anyway. But Lisa doesn't cook. She literally eats fast food 3 times a day, every single day. Anyway, that's like the running joke. She's like, Taco Bell's my favorite food. Okay. Um, get an apple. Okay, so now we go to Whitney and her husband. So Whitney's husband couldn't work for a year, but because of this show, and he had a non-compete clause. Ma'am, he has been out of work longer than a year. So please don't give us the excuse that he had a non-compete clause, so he couldn't get a job for a year. So now he's got a job. And now he's like, good, I don't have to be mom. And she's like, wait a second, you mean to tell me you're not going to do anything? And he's like, I'll do something. I'll drop off occasionally. And she's like, well, now that you went back to the whole masculine role of you working and whatever, you still should be doing, participating in the child's life. Okay. He's like, yeah, we'll see. Angie, now this is a kicker. Okay, so Angie's at the house playing whatever game with the family. So the husband is in this gigantic bed alone. And Angie is, admittedly, this is what she says, that she has been focused so much on the kids that I thought it was more than one. I could be wrong. That she is absolutely not focused on the husband. She forgot that she's a wife. Now, I can understand this when you have a baby. And I've told one of my sorority sisters when she had a baby to don't forget your husband, because I did make that mistake, because when you're so surrounded, like your kid is so dependent upon you, that it is so hard to be wife and kid. And I mean, and as exciting as it is to have the baby coming home, that excitement wears off because he's going to also want some type of attention. And I will admit myself that even to this day, that I don't do a lot of like my husband and I do not do a lot of date nights or whatever, but it is not because our center is the kids. It's like we're still building our careers. And so so the little time that I do have, I'm like, okay, well, I like to sleep and then I like to read and I should be. And then my head is like, well, I need to be doing this. I got emails to send out, like I was supposed to do a conference tomorrow. It got canceled because clearly my marketing is not that great. My partner's not really helping much. I want to get the speaking engagement thing off the ground. I need to do my podcast. I haven't done that in like 4 months. So I got ish to do. Like I want so badly to do speaking engagements and to do professional development for full time and not do this whole and I want to get an agent so I can get a book deal, and I want to write full time and teach on the side. I mean, I'm going to keep my full-time teaching job, even though I kind of want to quit. But I mean, to do this, I gotta, time. Anyway, my point is, you would think that she'd be saying this about some little kids. This chick has a preteen and they still sleeping in the same bed. Now, I do have like my kids would like for me to sleep in their room and until they fall asleep. But the idea that she's barely having sex with her husband because of her kid when she's a preteen is kind of like, what? What? This seems to be, ma'am, what are we doing? So when I say all that to say, because I'm fast forwarding, at Lisa's lunch, at Lisa's party, because Lisa's having a party just because she's like, I work hard and I want to spend money and I want to have a party and I'm inviting Monica because, I don't want to leave her out. And okay. So at this party, Angie and Whitney come together because Whitney wants to sit down. No, Whitney sits down with Maria to be like, what's the rumor? Now, when I tell you that the clip, hold on. Real Housewife of Salt Lake City, Whitney clip. Let me see. Clip season. Oh yeah. Clip. Isn't the season episode 5? Wait, let me see if that's it. See, I saw it on I'm trying to find the clip, man, because the clip was hilarious. Let me see. Okay, well, I can't find the clip. But anyway, there is a clip that Whitney and Marie's, and then Whitney's like, so Whitney is asking Marie, what was the rumor? And Maria's like, okay, the rumor is that Angie's marriage is fake and that it's an arrangement. I kind of think so too. I think it's an arrangement. I think it's an arrangement because when you say that he feels you knowingly, as a wife, you knowingly be like, yeah, my husband's neglected because of my daughter. Oh, well. I mean, that's essentially what she said. And then you're not willing to be like, okay, I need to change behavior. I need to do something to make him not feel so neglected. Then clearly there has to be an arrangement, or you just don't really give a F and you need to get divorced. Because I don't think that's fair that you knowingly are like he's neglected when you have a daughter who clearly is way too old to not be sleeping through. She is sleeping through the night, ma'am. She does not need you to be. She knows how to brush her hair. Like, come on. And she goes, there's an arrangement, and that her husband is sleeping with other men. Now, her husband is a hairstylist. I guess I am sure that there are straight men who are hairstylists. So Whitney's response to this is like, no. I mean, it is priceless. Her response is priceless. Anyway, so they add Angie to the conversation, and Angie comes over and is like, well, what's the rumor? Tell me what's going on. Just tell me. Wow. And so then Maria is like, well, look, the rumor is that that your husband's sleeping with other men. Her response was like, fake outrage. That's disgusting. That's not uh and that your husband's boyfriends are spreading all this tea all around town and they need to stop talking. I mean, she didn't seem surprised. I mean, at the end of the episode, she goes over and she wants to talk to Meredith by herself. But I don't see why this is Meredith's fault. Meredith didn't start the rumor. And Meredith didn't tell Maria didn't tell Maria about the rumor. Maria is like, these are rumors that it's not necessarily coming from Meredith, but Meredith knows that they're rumors. And it seems like Maria knows that this is kind of true. Anyway, I don't think it's that. I mean, I think it's a big deal, but I think that Angie is lying. She knows her husband is cheating on her. Because I don't think that nobody is going, and I'm not saying that he absolutely could be faithful, but the reaction that she had was one that she knew. Heather goes on this whole activity with her daughters. They're going skiing, and their whole talking about that her kids are being bullied because one, they're not necessarily as a part of the Mormon churches they used to be, and because of the book that she put out. So she's kind of upset about that. This is the most disgusting thing I think I've ever seen. So she goes over, their cocoa was too hot. So instead of like getting ice from the cafe or wherever, she goes and takes snow and puts it into the hot chocolate. Yes, snow off the mountain and puts it in the hot chocolate. Now, in California, we do sometimes have artificial snow. I don't know if they have artificial snow because it does snow much more there than it does here, but I gotta be desperate to be eating off the mountain, to be putting that in my drink. And all these three people are sitting there drinking snow. Like, now, if I open up my tongue and snow gets on my tongue, that's one thing. But I am not grabbing snow from the ground and put it in my chocolate. Yo. Anyway, I thought that was so disgusting. Okay, anyway, that's all that I have to share about that. It was so funny, though, in this whole argument at Lisa's house, back to Lisa's house, when Monica's talking about materialistic. First of all, the conversation was ridiculous. The argument was way too long. And Mary comes in like, oh my gosh, what am I walking into? And talking about, Lisa claims that she never said that she was going in a private jet with Snoop Dogg. I wish they would have dropped that footage in here because she did say that, but whatever. Heather's like, well, I partied with him. If y'all remember last season, Heather was trying to have sex with the black man. She's like, can I have sex with the black man? I don't know if she'd marry one, but she's like, hook me up with the black dude. Anyway. And so then Maria's like, oh, really? And Heather's like, yeah, I have pictures. She's like, oh, well, why can't you be like her? Just own it. Good point. Don't care. Mary's like, Whitney looks cheap. Maria goes over to redo the crepe that is like raspberry with chocolate and whipped cream because In the midst of all this fight, I don't know what Angie was fighting. Angie was protecting Lisa from Maria, I guess. And Angie thought that it would be nice to put your hand in somebody else's plate and to sprinkle some of the whipped cream onto Maria. Girl, Angie, it is never okay to be putting your hand in somebody else's food. That is disgusting. So Angie goes over and Maria goes over and she wants another crate. So she comes and she sits next to Mary and she's like, I am determined to have Mary like me. Good luck. But Mary's like, look, you're a pretty girl. You always eating when I see you. She's like, Maria, I love food. She's like, yeah, but can't let food take over your life. And then she's judging her by like, do you eat vegetables? Ma'am, Mary, last episode, you had a fillet of fish, a medium fry, and a 6-piece chicken nugget. Where are the vegetables in any of that meal? Be judging people's food choices. Ma'am, get out of here. I did love when Heather and Angie were talking to each other, and Angie was like, well, you were really smart in school. I wasn't that smart. Heather's like, no, you weren't smart. I was like, she's like, well, you were scrappy. I'm not sure how that helps when you're like, you weren't smart, you're scrappy. And then she tried to make it sound better by being like, well, look, they used to call me Lefty, but I didn't know that. I just thought it was because I was shoplifting. But I was like, but why would they call you that? Because you were shoplifting when you don't shoplift. But she's like, no, it's because my left boob was bigger. Who's looking this hard? I mean, I guess. But the point is that she was trying to say that to make Angie feel better because you just called the girl dumb, but it didn't work. And I think that's all. We're gonna pick up next episode where clearly Angie's going to confront Meredith, and this is going to be a ridiculous confrontation because Angie now claims that Meredith is cheating on her husband, which is not the first time that we've heard that accusation. So thank you for that. Ma'am, you know that your husband is cheating on you because you know that this man is not going to sit around here hanging out with the dog. Because that's essentially what you're showing, that he comes home and hangs out and goes to bed in this big bed with the dog that has purple, all white with purple feet. And or there are some nights where he gets blessed to sleep with his daughter, his 2-old daughter, and his wife. So every episode, you're talking about the lack of intimacy with your husband. Of course, he's cheating. See y'all later.